and good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vincent Hargaden. I'm the Academic Programme Director for our part-time engineering management programs. So these are our programs which we have designed specifically for practitioners who are based in industry and want to gain an engineering management master's level qualification while continuing to work in their day jobs. I'm going to give you an overview of the Master of Engineering Management program, a level 9 master's degree, and also a new professional diploma in Operations Excellence, which is also a level 9 qualification. Okay, so the Master of Engineering Management program, or the MEM program, that's a two academic year program over 4 semesters, and it's delivered on a part-time basis. For those of you familiar with the credit system, like all masters, level 9 master's degrees, it's a 90 credits, 90 ECTS credit program. So that means you take either 4 or 5 modules per semester. And that program starts in September every year. Our new professional diploma in Operations Excellence is really a subset of the MEM program. All its modules are delivered as part of the MEM program, but it's much more focused on the operations quality, world-class manufacturing and world-class services aspect. And that's just 1 academic year, so 2 semesters. It's also designed for part-time industry-based learners. It's just 20 credits as a professional diploma, and you take 2 modules per semester. And there's some additional flexibility with this program in that you can choose to start in September or January each year. So if you start in September, you go September, January term. If you start in January, you do the January and the following September term. Okay, so some details on the MEM program. So what is it? It's a 2-year part-time master's level program, and it's been running since 1967 in some form. So it's quite a long track record. It's a 12-weekend per term program. And in recent years, we have redesigned the program really to, I suppose, suit industry-based learners who aren't just based in Dublin, but who are based around the country, and also I suppose to take advantage of the learnings that we have gained over the last 2 years as a result of the COVID pandemic. So from this year, so since last September, we have been delivering the program in a blended manner. And what that means is that you've got 4 days on campus every term, and you have 8 online weeks every term. Okay, so particularly for those of you who are based outside Dublin, this may be a more attractive option compared to our older delivery where you had to be on campus every Friday and Saturday for the 12 weeks of every term. So now you're just coming to campus roughly once a month, and the intervening weeks are delivered in a live online manner. So who is the MEM program for? We're looking for engineers who have at least 5 years industry experience, and you don't just have to have an engineering degree. We do accept applications from the wider STEM background, so they're eligible to apply. So if you have an undergraduate qualification, maybe in physics, chemistry, computer science, software engineering, mathematics, this program is also suited for you. And really the type of person applicant that we're targeting is we're looking at people who have the ambition to progress to senior engineering leadership roles. So what will you learn? So as engineers, you're very comfortable and confident talking in a technical language, but as you progress up in seniority and start to undertake some leadership and management roles in engineering companies, you really have to learn a new language, and you have to learn the language of business in a technology environment. So as a result of taking the MEM program, you'll learn to communicate effectively in the language of business. So you cover some modules in finance, human resources, employee relations, marketing, strategy, negotiations. We focus a lot on decision-making and decision analysis. So you'll improve your decision-making skills. You'll work on your leadership, how you lead employees, and then how you'll contribute to the future direction of your firm in terms of developing your strategic thinking skills. So how will you learn? So really the faculty who deliver this program come from engineering, they come from the business school, and we have a cohort of experienced senior industry-based lecturers. You'll also learn from your classmates, from your peers across multiple sectors and company types, from small manufacturing companies to large international engineering consultancy firms, as well as participants who come from the semi-state and public sectors. It's quite an active learning environment. So a lot of the assignments are industry-based. They're relevant to your day-to-day jobs in your organizations. We do case studies, we do business and engineering simulations, which really help you to enhance your decision-making techniques in a safe environment. And it's really quite an action learning environment because it allows you to continue in your day jobs, but also allows you to apply some of that new knowledge that you gain from the program very quickly. And just maybe some of the more common, frequently asked questions we get about the program. Do you have to take many final exams? Well, the answer is no. There's relatively few final exams across the 2 years. There's a high proportion of continuous assessment, and that is both group and individual assessment. Do you have to do a thesis? No, it's an option in year 2, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail when we look at the program structure. So the program structure, it's over 2 academic years, 4 academic terms. So in the autumn term of year 1 and year 2, so the blue and the red squares there, you take 4 modules. 2 of the modules in year 1 autumn, Introduction to Data Analytics and Technical Communications, they're already fully online modules. Okay, so before we went the blended delivery this year, they were already fully online. And then in spring of year 1 and spring of year 2, you undertake 5 modules there. In year 2, you have the option of a year-long applied research project. And what you can do there is, that's worth 20 credits. So what you can do is you can drop any 2 autumn modules in year 2 and any 2 modules in spring of year 2 and do the 20 credit applied research project. The types of program participants and the nature of the companies that they come from is really quite varied. We really get, I suppose, about 1/3 of our cohort come from manufacturing companies, about 1/3 come from engineering services, and about 1/3 of the students will come from the semi-state public sector organizations. And again, in the private sector, they'll come from small companies to international manufacturing and consultancy companies. So the logos there give you a sense of the recent program participants. So quite varied, so it brings a lot of diversity and learning from different sectors in the classroom. In terms of some of the practicalities, the calendar for next year, so September 22 start. The autumn term starts on the 16th of September. There's an introduction and orientation in the morning. And the teaching term starts on the 16th and goes till Saturday, the 3rd of December. So that's 12 weeks of teaching. And the spring term starts on the 27th of January and goes to the 29th of April. 2023. There's a number of weeks in that period where you don't have classes. There's a UCD 2-week UCD study break in March, and then there's no classes on the Easter weekend. So again, it's 12 weeks of classroom time. So I mentioned earlier that from last September, we had switched to a blended delivery, which is working very well for our students. And what that means is you spend 4 Fridays per term on campus, and that's a full day. And that's in weeks 1, 4, 8, and 12. So evenly spaced out across the teaching term. And then the intervening weeks are online. And those classes are delivered live, and they're also recorded for later viewing. And those classes take place on Friday afternoon and Saturday mornings. So an example provisional timetable for next year is in autumn. So next September to December, you'll be on campus on Fridays. You do 2 on-campus modules from 1 to 2:45 and then 3 to 4:45. So an hour and 45 minutes, both classes. 2 of the modules are fully online. So that has no fixed timetable. So you're able to engage with that material throughout the week. So Introduction to Data Analytics and Technical Communications. And then you're online from September to December 2022. They're Friday and Saturday. So they really follow the old MEM timetable. So later Friday afternoons, you do 2 modules. And again, your 2 online modules are more flexible. You can engage with that material throughout the week. The spring, so from January 23 to April 23, you do 5 modules, and it's a busier schedule. So your on-campus Fridays are from 10 until 8 p.m. and you do 4 modules, 4 class modules there. And economics is on Saturday morning, and that's fully online over the 12 weeks. And then your online classes take place on Friday and Saturday, so later Friday afternoon and Saturday morning. And they're delivered through Zoom, through our virtual learning environment. So that's about the Master of Engineering Management Programme. I'm just going to briefly mention the new professional diploma in Operations Excellence, and its structure and delivery and schedule is very similar to the Master of Engineering Management Programme. So in autumn, you do 2 modules, Operations Management and Decision Analysis, and in spring, you do Quality Management and Business System Design. So really, this is a very focused program which looks at how can you pursue continuous improvement and operations excellence in manufacturing and service organizations. So those 4 modules are really the core modules that you take to enable you to apply continuous improvement projects and gain a professional diploma in operations excellence. As I said, the modules are delivered as part of the MEM program. So you are in the same classes and you're in the same learning environment and have the same type of students as the MEM program. And again, that's 4 weeks on campus Fridays and 8 weeks online Friday afternoons each term. So that's all I want to cover about the MEM program and the Professional Diploma in Operations Excellence. You can apply. We're accepting applications at the moment, and we review applications quickly and can give you a decision on your application within a few days. If anybody has any queries in relation to either of the programs that I've covered, you can email me directly, and you can contact us through our social media channels. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to hand over to Gerard, who's going to give you the student and alumni perspective on the engineering management program.
Okay, my name is Gerard McGreal. I'm was a student of the Masters in Engineering Management, and I graduated in 2016. And my background is that I work in Vallejo and have manufacturing experience. I'm an engineer and manufacturing experience from that. So I'll just talk about what my experience of the Masters in Engineering Management was. Can I just go down to the second one there? So just the value of doing the Masters. The reason I was doing it was that it was an additional education, and it was a full master's degree, and basically it gave you a greater insight into how organizations operate and function. So originally the MEM was known as the Masters in Industrial Engineering, and by and large it gave you a good perspective on how organizations operated, and that's essentially what I wanted, because my background was in manufacturing, so I thought it was an add-on to the primary degree that I already had. It also gave me a greater education and digital experience and what it was like to study, in the sense that originally when I had done my undergraduate degree, the technology that was available was okay, that you had the internet and so forth, but going to UCD and doing the MEM, it actually was transformational, in the sense that you had an awful lot more technology available to you. All the notes were downloaded onto the network. You had access to TED Talks and so forth, which was quite a different experience that I had experienced in my undergraduate degree. So I thought from that point of view, it was actually very good, and it was transformational. I also thought that it added to your value added as a person. So it increases your added value, and it enhances your current position and your future role within organizations. So as the organizations changed, you had the benefit of the masters that enhanced your position and your knowledge and your expertise and your analytical abilities that you could bring to bear in your everyday position. So I thought that was quite good. Just the next one there. Sorry, just the next slide there. The career benefit, as I said, what I had originally intended after I had graduated with my undergraduate degree was that I had applied for the Masters in Industrial Engineering, and that was back in the noughties, and then circumstances meant that I wasn't able to progress with that form of study. So it wasn't until 2014 then that I went on to the MEM, and it had changed to a kind of a more management structure. I think it was mainly in line with the business school and its tie-in with the MBA programs. So as Vincent has already said, it's been around since 1967 and it had a long legacy and was recognizable qualification. So like if you're going for any kind of interview for either internally in your organization or externally, it is recognizable. There's no doubt about it that it has been around for a long time. Certainly within engineering circles, it has always been promoted as being the masters to study for. And in that sense, it was something that I had always wanted to do. The other thing is that it has a substance and depth to it as well, so that if you are attending interviews, and it allows you to promote yourself as an individual and to speak about your own learning experiences when you were on the course and how you found it and the particular topics and modules that you covered on it. So it gives you an opportunity to expand when you're at an interview what particular modules you thought were particularly good. The ones I liked were the HR ones and economics. That they were absolutely fascinating, and they gave great insight into the complexities of business and the considerations that need to be taking place. It also allows you to promote yourself internally and externally for opportunities that may come along. And I thought the most important one, I thought, just as a student, was that it increased your value added. So along with your industrial experience and with your education as well, that hopefully your judgment will be enhanced, and that can be applied in any of the situations that you find yourself on a day-to-day basis when you're working in your job function. So in that sense, it was quite good. Okay, just the next slide there. Sorry, Laura, just take the next slide. Just the quality of academics and the teaching. All the academics are qualified and have all relevant industrial experience. The class setting is informal and it is relaxed, and the reason for that is that it allows freedom of expression for you to ask questions and to present personal experience of it. That is one thing that is really, really good, in the sense that you can learn from other people's experiences within your peer group. Now, I was kind of lucky in the sense that when I went in our particular class, there was probably about 20 students. So it was quite a large setting. So there was an awful lot of mixed experiences, different backgrounds, but there was commonality in some of the issues that were raised. So it was really very interesting to hear some of the experiences that other people had. And that is one of the things that I really got out of it. I thought it was very, very good. The other thing is that I'm not sure whether Vincent spoke about it on his presentation, but in the course of the various modules, you're broken into various groups, and that extends from the first semester right through to the fourth semester. So in my particular case, I got to collaborate and mix with every other student that was in my class, which was great. So you have shared groups, and you've got collaboration within the groups. So you're doing presentations, you're doing coursework together, and so forth. And that is the big difference I found in comparison to an undergraduate degree, that this is much more collaborative. It's much more leading. It's much more expert in its presentation. And the other thing I would say about it is that in my particular instance, the people I was collaborating with had an awful lot of experience, industrial experience. I would say that the average age within the course was probably in their 30s. So people were coming to the course, to the masters, with quite a significant amount of industrial experience. And that was really, really good. The other thing is that there's a high workload in the exam. There was, anyway. I can't speak for it now, but in that sense, there is exam preparation. I thought that personally, I thought that the hardest one was the first semester, because that's the first time you're kind of doing exams, and it takes a period in order to become familiar with it. So time management is very important, but you do have to realize that it is a master's program. There is quite a lot of work that's required, and also the fact that you're maintaining a full-time job. So, you know, when I was doing it, it meant that we were there on Friday afternoons and then Saturday mornings. So Friday afternoons, Friday evening, and then Saturday mornings. So there was a significant amount of take up, and that's without doing any coursework in the intervening week. So it really is quite a significant workload. So you need to be prepared for that. So in that sense, time management. So once you get into it, then you become used of what is required, and your time management then becomes a little bit better in it. Just the next one then. Just the other element of it is on graduation. So hopefully those people who apply for it and are successful, you become a member of UCD alumni, which is a great network, I have to say. I didn't realize it at the time, wasn't sold, but it is really phenomenal in the sense that, particularly in the pandemic, that there was so many different webinars that were taking place by absolute experts, like across it's quite amazing how small the world has got. Particularly with the technology that we have today, that and this is just within the UCD group. This isn't, you know, these aren't TED Talks or anything like that. It's just within the UCD group. And I found them fascinating. And I also, you know, even now continue on with them. I think they're really, really good. The other thing as well is that when you join the masters, you hopefully will make new relationships and friends, and you know, that they would stay with you, because like there really is great camaraderie out of it, and everybody goes through it together and everybody experiences the whole thing together. So I became completely energized with it. I thought that the whole idea of studying in the digital age was revealing, was absolutely transformational. And as I said, the UCD alumni aftermath is excellent as well, which I continue on with, and try to participate and encourage people to get involved with it if I can. So that's about it. And the last thing I have to say is best of luck with it. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Chair.
thanks, Laura. Thank you.
Yeah, really enlightening. I think it's great for you to share your experience, and I think particularly for this program compared to the other programs we've spoke about in our sessions this week, because it's a part-time program and it's mainly geared towards people who are coming from industry or have that experience. Being able to manage the workload, I think, is a really important aspect, and it's a consideration people are always wanting more information about. So thank you for sharing that with us. Just to our attendees, just to reiterate, if you have any questions, please feel free to, we're going to spend some time now on questions. If you have any, please type them in using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get through as many as we can. Vincent, I suppose one question that I get asked when I'm dealing with potential students is actually, how do you go about the application process? How does the application process work? And I know you require students to have experience, and how they can showcase that experience.
Yeah, so obviously our online application system is open. So when you go in and you create an account and you apply for the program, you'll be asked to upload some pieces of information. And the main thing is your CV and your transcripts, your academic records. So we look at, does the applicant have the right undergraduate degree or undergraduate qualification? So as I mentioned in the slides, it doesn't have to be an engineering qualification. We get a large number of people who might have maths or computer science, software engineering, chemistry degrees who are working. Let's say somebody who has a chemistry degree is working in the pharmaceutical industry as a process engineer. That would be a very good example of a non-engineering degree working in an engineering environment. So that's the first filter. We also need people who have a minimum of 5 years experience. And Jared mentioned in his slides that the average age is probably early 30s. So people tend to have more than that 5 years experience. The real reason we stipulate that minimum experience is so that you can really engage in the class material and with your peers. So you have that lived experience in an engineering environment. You might have managed some projects. You might be starting to move into a team leader role. So then, the subjects like finance and strategy and marketing and human resources, they start to make sense for you and you can start to apply them. So that's why the minimum experience is necessary. But that being said, 5 years is the minimum. At the moment, we probably have members in the class who have 25, 30 years experience. So we have quite a breadth of experience and cross-section of experience in the class. And then your CV. So what have you done since your graduation, and what are your roles? So once that information is provided to the online application system, we review it very quickly. We get daily alerts on new applications. And if we require any clarifications, if there's pieces of information missing or if it's not clear to us, we'll come back to you. And generally, we're in a position to provide an applicant with a decision within 7 days.
Okay, great. I think that's for any attendees joining us who haven't made an application or in the process of making an application. I think all that information is really, really useful. And Jared, just to you to expand on that, did you find when you were doing the course that it was a benefit to have a class filled with people who are from multitude different backgrounds with a lot of different experiences? Did you find that aspect of the course was really good?
Absolutely. It was really, really good. It's amazing that the diversity of people and the backgrounds that they come from, but yet, the problems and issues that arise and the commonality in it is quite amazing, but it really, really is good. I loved the one thing about the course. I loved the group scheme. I think the groups and the way it was structured was absolutely phenomenal. It was great. It was really, really good. And the one thing, like when we were doing it, like our coursework, we would, as we were in groups, a lot of our coursework, we would continue during the week, and we normally do it through Skype, but even now we're doing it through webinars. Zoom wasn't, and that's only in 2016. So the whole thing is, from a digital point of view, it's been transformed continuously. And the other thing as well is, I would say that, like when I did the application to Vincent back in 2014, I knew nothing about the UCD alumni, whatever. The actual talks that are going through. It's absolutely amazing when you are a UCD alumni. Like the amount of expertise and the amount of what people are doing across the world is phenomenal. It really, really is. So in that sense.
Great. And Vincent, just to yourself, obviously you highlighted that the program's format has changed ever so slightly since, I suppose, when Jared went through the system. Is there a rationale behind that, or are you getting a sense from students that is a benefit to them, how the new format is working?
Yeah, so we launched the new format for the group, the first year group, coming in last September. So we're going through it at the moment, but certainly the initial feedback from the students, and even just looking at where they're coming from, we're getting more students coming from the outside Dublin. So we've a number of students based in Cork, and they find that being able to come to UCD just 4 Fridays a term, they're able to get here for 10 o'clock lecture, they leave in the evening, and then they don't have to worry about coming back to UCD on the Saturday. So certainly for people who are based outside Dublin, that's working well. And I think maybe when Jared went through this would have been an alien concept that we always had the Friday afternoon, Saturday morning for 50 years, 45, 50 years, and nothing would ever change. And I suppose what everybody has gone through in the last 2 years, our familiarity with online technology, our willingness to learn through online technology, and also the functionality of the online technology has really provided, I don't think we've lost anything. I think we've gained by having 2/3 of the program in a live online manner, but still we're placing a lot of emphasis on that classroom environment where you can actually meet face to face with your lecturers and with your classmates. So I think we're getting a good balance between the convenience of being on campus 4 times a term and the technology side of things, but then keeping the face-to-face component of the program.
Yeah, great. And I think we just have an open question from one of our attendees here, maybe kind of leans on from that, is they're asking them maybe about the how the actual modules and classes are given, how they take notes, do they need books, how does it actually work in the classroom?
Okay, so it really varies from module to module. So over the 2 years of the program, if you don't do the project option, you take 18 modules or 18 courses. If you do the project, you do 14 taught modules and the project. And really the nature of the delivery will vary from module to module. I mean, there's a general structure, but because we're dealing with experienced people, the value is in the discussion and the debate among the class. It's not listening for 2 hours to a professor going through slides. My own style is we've got some slides, but they're really just talking points. that leads to a discussion. We do business simulations, so they would be online, or they can be what are called educational classroom games. We do case study analysis. So, students may present on a case and that may lead to an open discussion, or the lecturer may lead the discussion and that leads to, open debate about issues and cases. So the style, I know in the negotiations module, there's a lot of role plays undertaken by students, to examine different negotiation strategies. So really, no single module is really delivered the same. Obviously, there's learning outcomes that have to be met at the end of every module, and they're assessed. But in terms of the 12 weeks, it varies quite a lot. And I don't know whether Jared might have anything on that.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with everything that you said there, Vincent. For me, I think the time, first of all, is when you start off on the course on the first semester, the time goes really, really quick. That's the first thing. And as Vincent is saying there, that the actual modules themselves are very interactive. It's not just kind of a teacher at the top of the class and you're there taking note-taking. What I would say is that the way the information is presented is excellent, because when I was doing my undergraduate degree, all of the notes, I did it in UL, and the notes, you'd go to the print room, they'd be all printed, you get a book and then you bring it back and you make all your own notes on it. When I was doing the masters, it's all on the network. So all of the information is on the network, and every module has a folder, and that's where you get the notes from, and that's where you put all your coursework and tutorials on there as well. So that's the way it is. So the digital element has been transformational. The other thing then is, if you want additional information, there's just the tools available are phenomenal with regard to TED Talks, and if you want any information with regard to any particular subject, it's just transformational in that sense. It really, really is good. But as Vincent said there, that I thought the groups were great. You're learning from your peers, and some of them are really very well qualified and they hold very senior positions within organizations, and it really is great. Some of the lectures are very good. Vincent touched on it there with regard to case studies, whatever. They were actually very interesting. You kind of hear these household names, whatever, but when you dig deeper, the actual problems that they had in trying to bring products to market and so forth, it is a revelation, really it is, and it's like the background information and what is required now in today's world is quite formidable. The other thing as well, I think Vincent was touched on it there, was language. Like in my own position, like I'm working in a factory, so therefore I've kind of like a cross-functional teams with regard to operators, supervisors, line managers, and so forth, general managers. So you're meeting a plethora of people, so therefore to be able to speak with them then is quite important, to be able to deliver on that kind of information. Right. But I do think the worth of the course it is excellent. I think it's and you should be doing it for the right reason. I know it's people turn around and say that you want to get promotion, whatever, and all that, but there's more to it than that. There is a lot more, and I think you should approach it. It is education per se, and hopefully it will allow you to see things differently, or a little bit with a different perspective than you otherwise would have seen, and that it allows you to develop as a person, and that's the way you should see it. It's not a training course. It is a master's degree, and it's all about education.
That's really some great advice there, Jared, for attendees listening in. I think it's really useful. Also, just to go back to the open question that we have is, did you find that the lecturers were, obviously Vincent is here, but other lecturers or people that you had in connection with were approachable, were friendly, were able to meet outside class times if you had any issues or you wanted to follow up on anything? Did you find that lecturers were accessible?
Yeah, the lectures are very accessible, absolutely, and very engaging. Now, that's not to say that the exams are easy. The exams are a challenge, there's no doubt about it. And, what I would say to you is that be wary of time, because being honest with you, if you're like, as I was, you have a full-time job and you start early and you can get out late, and you'll have your coursework scheduled, because we were doing Skype calls and so forth, whatever. So the exams are a challenge. You'll know when you're sitting down doing the exams that they are a challenge, and you have to prepare for them. So time management is very important. But as regards accessibility, the lectures are completely accessible. If you have any difficulty, whatever, you talk it over with them, and there's no difficulty in that. It's very well organized in that sense.
Great. And then Vincent, for those who are wanting to obviously manage their work-life balance with doing the masters as well, is there a lot of coursework outside the classroom? Obviously, Jared touched on preparing for exams and things like that, but other assessment things that will happen outside the classroom?
Yeah, so obviously it's a level 9 masters. It's 90 credits, so it is a significant time commitment. So I think on average, for every hour in the class, you probably will spend 2 to 3 hours per week, working on group projects and individual projects. We have done quite a bit of effort over the last number of years to try and streamline, assignment due dates, to try and balance student workload, particularly as we've gone away from, the exam-based assessment to more continuous assessment-based. So we don't want all the assignments due in week 11 or week 12. So we worked quite well with all the lecturers each term to get a better balance of delivery, so students have a more steady workload rather than hitting some massive peak in week 10 and week 11. But as Jared said, it is a master's degree, so I would say on average over the term, be prepared to commit 2 to 3 hours outside the class for every classroom hour that you've got.
Okay, great. I think that'll be useful. And then just also for maybe students who are, listening and don't have the kind of 5 years work experience that would be required for this part-time program, just to highlight that we have other master's programs at a full-time level that students can apply for. One in particular is our engineering management full-time program. It's an MNGSE 1-year program, and that's kind of more suited to maybe fresh graduates from bachelor level programs or people who have less than the 5 years experience. So we did a webinar on that as well. So that recording of that particular session, along with this one and all the other sessions, will be available on our YouTube channel early next week. And then Jared, just to go back to you, obviously, for people who are wondering to do this particular master's, and I don't know your particular situation, but some of them won't have done education in a number of years. Did you find the transition back from maybe industry to doing education difficult, or maybe some of your classmates' experiences? How did you find that?
Yeah, being honest with you, I was out of UL for a great number of years, so originally what I had intended was, as I said, I'd had intended to go back and do the MIE, and that was back in the noughties, and circumstances just didn't allow it, and therefore a great number of years passed, and then I came back and did the MEM in 2014. So as I said, the digital age and the way you studied was transformational. That was the big thing for me. But I have to say, I was very energized by it, really energized, and I enjoyed it. I have to say, it was really, really good. For people who are kind of maybe a little bit hesitant about going back if they haven't studied for a long time, the best thing to do is, if it is something that you want to do and you feel you're going to get worth out of it, but then you should do it. And the challenges that will be there. There's no question about it. It is a full master's degree. The important thing about it is, though, it's a respected degree. It is really, really a respected degree. It's been around for a long time, and UCD is obviously recognizable. So, whatever work and effort it takes in order to put into it, it's worth doing, so that's it. And you'll be better for it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I know you touched on that it is for educational purposes as much as anything else, and you shouldn't do it just for promotions. But do you think it's benefited your career after doing it?
Well, the thing about it is that it has benefited me, as I said to you, that in the sense that, like, my job requires me that I'm speaking to operators, engineers, technicians, line managers, senior managers, and whatever, So, in that sense, it has, But the one thing about it is that it gives you a very good perspective with regard to companies and how they operate, particularly in these times, because the times themselves change so quickly, so fast. And even today, in today's world now, we're looking at supply chains and the pressures that are being put on them, So, it really is an insight. And years ago, we used to think that, an undergraduate degree was adequate, but it really isn't, because you do need to be kind of doing continuous professional development. You do need to be kind of tipping in and tipping out as regards education and trying to broaden your horizons and enhance your development, you as a person, So I think that's the one thing I would say,
Brilliant. I think that's all the time we have for today, and I think we've answered all our open questions. So thank you to Vincent, thank you to Jared, and thank you to our attendees for tuning in, and have a good rest of your day.